Hello, this is one of my tomato plants growing in a 10-inch water bucket. I'm growing in an 8-foot by 6-foot aluminium polycarbonate greenhouse. I've got 10 tomato plants in this greenhouse and I've got one cucumber plant, and the greenhouse is full. I couldn't squeeze anything else in this greenhouse now. It's full to capacity, and so far so good. But hey, that wasn't the case last year. Last year we had problems. I think the major problem was I got the greenhouse late in the year and built it. And if I described the greenhouse as flimsy, then I would be understating the greenhouse. It was more than flimsy. And I had to beef it up. And it was a continual battle with the greenhouse, trying to keep it in one piece. In fact, at one stage it nearly got me arrested when I went to buy some strengthening bars, some gold bars that I used to strengthen the greenhouse. But that's another tale. There's actually a video on the channel there. It's quite funny. It wasn't funny at the time. I expected the cops coming knocking on the door, but they didn't. And yes, I spent a lot of time last year fighting with the greenhouse, and as a result I didn't spend enough time with the tomatoes. So this was the greenhouse last year under storm conditions, and we had 4 storms, I think it was, maybe 5 last year, that gave me really serious worries. Check this out. Storm Kira has been with us now a couple of days. I've not been able to get in the greenhouse, but we're going out there today to have a look. Okay, come in. Yeah, come on. Let's see how this new system's working. Okay, so that's what I was up against last year, and as a consequence I didn't pay enough attention to what was going on in the buckets, and as a result of that I got blossom end rot. Check this out. Hello, welcome to my new greenhouse. I only got this greenhouse this year and it's only been up a few months, but I've managed to get some tomatoes growing in it in these 10-inch water buckets. Welcome to my greenhouse. Welcome to blossom end rot. Hey, look at that. Blossom end rot. What's to be done? Well, what do you do when you're presented with a problem that you've never had before? Do you Google it? I do. Do you look on YouTube? I do. And I think I may have the solution for this blossom end rot. And what I'm actually hoping is that these tomatoes that were taken from the bottom trusses, although they're wasted, perhaps the ones further up the plant and those that are only flowers at the moment, perhaps we can prevent those getting blossom end rot. So I'm going to do what a lot of gardeners are doing on YouTube, and I'm going to treat the soil in the pots to a dressing of lime, and that lime is going to introduce some calcium into the pots, and apparently this blossom end rot is because there's a calcium deficiency, so we're going to try and correct that. This jar has got some garden lime in it. Okay, I use this to dust the beds when I'm growing brassicas. So what we're going to do is we're going to add some garden lime to the soil in the buckets of these tomatoes. Now what I've seen other YouTubers do is mix this, make it into a slurry with water and water it on. But I'm simply going to sprinkle some on top, which I've already done, and just water it in. And hope that that works, hope that that prevents any more blossom end rot. And if we keep an eye on this tomato plant, the one that's had the blossom end rot and the others, if it gives me some healthy tomatoes at the top of the plant later on in the season, then this has worked, hasn't it? This has stopped blossom end rot in its tracks. Okay, let me just move the camera around. I'll show you the plant that we're talking about, the one that's had the blossom end rot, and we'll water some of this lime in. Okay, this is the lime that I've taken out of the sweet jar. I've already sprinkled some on the top of this, the soil in this pot. Okay, and I'm now going to water it in. And while I do that, I've got to tell you, it's a lovely day here at Homegrown Veg. Molly's out in the garden, and from where I'm sitting, I think I can see she's lying under the washing line. Half in the shade, half out of the shade, half in the sun, half out of the sun, and there's a wee bit of wind blowing, so that'll keep her cool. There you go, can you see it watering in? I hope you can. And that's what we'll do. We'll just water some lime in, and it either works or it doesn't work. And hopefully we'll find that out by the end of the season, because up top there are more tomatoes growing. There are flowers at the top of this plant. They can't have blossom end rot yet. They're not a tomato, are they? They're just a flower. Once they produce a tomato, the hope is that they don't produce tomatoes that get blossom end rot. If we have a look at these ones, you can see these tomatoes seem to be okay, although that one has got some blossom end rot, but that one hasn't. Why that is, I don't know. I honestly don't know. And that one looks clear of blossom end rot. But certainly the three I showed you earlier that came from this plant, they've definitely got blossom end rot. So I think what we're doing with respect to this lime can only improve the situation. Hey, fingers crossed. Okay, so this year I've I've been able to devote more time to the tomato plants and the cucumber than I have devoting time to the greenhouse, and I think as a result these plants are looking much healthier. What I did at the beginning of the year, when I made up the soil mix, I added to that some lime, and I added to it some bloodfish and bone, and I added some of this to it. And in doing that, I hope I put enough into the soil to keep these tomatoes well fed and happy through the growing year, and hopefully not get any of that blossom end rot. It's also worth mentioning that last year the cucumber I grew was a complete failure. We need to flag our failures up, don't we? It was a failure, and I think it was a failure because I had a battle with the greenhouse to start with, and I actually overwatered the cucumber, and I think I rotted the stem, so I got no cucumbers last year. But I'm hoping that's not going to be the case this year. I'll just turn this camera around and I'll show you this cucumber plant. Okay. Well, you're looking at a big leaf at the moment. I'm going to move that leaf in a minute, and hopefully I'm going to show you my first cucumber of the year. But let me tell you about this cucumber plant. It's a plant called Burpless. This is an F1 variety, and it's been developed so that you have less indigestion when you eat cucumbers. So if you ever had indigestion brought on by cucumbers, if you want to try and grow one of these, Burpless, then that might be something, that might be a solution for you. Let me tell you what it says on the packet. A wonderfully reliable variety which grows happily indoors or outdoors. Well, let me tell you now, this cucumber would not grow outdoors here at Homegrown Veg. Why not? Because it's always blowing a gale across my garden, and those leaves, this big leaf, this thing here, would be shredded, and all the other leaves on the plant would be shredded. So there's no way I could grow this plant outdoors here at Homegrown Veg in the United Kingdom. Now, you might have a garden that's much more sheltered than mine. You might live in warmer climates, and perhaps you could grow it outdoors. But definitely cucumbers need to be grown indoors here at Homegrown Veg. And it also says it produces large crops of sweet and tasty, bitter-free, ridge-type cucumbers. And the plants show good resistance to powdery mildew. Hey, well, hopefully that's one other thing we don't have to worry about, powdery mildew. Right, let me just move this leaf, and hopefully you'll be able to see that first cucumber of mine. Can you see it hanging over the 10-inch bucket at the back? And there are a number of other smaller cucumbers on this plant. They've still got the flowers attached. They have a long way to go, but the one at the back of the plant now is about 6 to 7 inches long, and I'll be taking that off in the morning because apparently that's the time you should harvest your cucumbers, first thing in the morning. I don't know why that is, but yeah, you should do that. So after I've finished shooting this video, I'll give the tomatoes and the cucumber a water. I'm currently watering at twice a day, in the morning and in the evening, and I'm feeding every other day with an high nitrogen feed. Now, one school of thought says that you should just drench your tomato plants, cucumber plants, every day, every couple of days, and then let them start to dry, and then do it again and do it again. Personally, I prefer to keep them moist, and so I've got that watering regime going. And hey, we're under lockdown, aren't we? We've got lots of time in our hands. I'm in this greenhouse every day. There's no reason why I can't water them every day. I've loads of time. So yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this video. I hope your greenhouse stays intact over this next growing season. I hope mine does. I know we forecast a storm later today, around about tea time. That's why I came out early to shoot this video. So let's hope we can all get through to the end of the growing year with our greenhouses intact and with some nice juicy red tomatoes and some nice cucumbers to eat. Yeah, that's our aim, isn't it? That's our aim. Okay, so I hope you've enjoyed this video. This is Homegrown Veg, signing out.